One of our friends of the show, Eric Young, who works for Wrestles for Impact, who's basically been around forever as well. One of the things that he told us when we went and saw him at an event, Jesse and I went, was the amount of tape he watches. He watches other wrestlers time and time and time again. And he said, I told him how I was at the WrestleMania in Toronto way back in the day, Rock and Hulk Hogan going head to head. And he said, that's actually a masterclass in how to wrestle properly. He's like, in how to turn a crowd from, I mean, they went from supporting Hulk Hogan to The Rock at the end. And they managed to do that live and in the ring. And I kind of wanted to know if you could think off the top of your head, because I know you're a nerd for the Leafs, but I know you're a nerd for this stuff too. The top 3 matches you have seen that you were not personally involved in, but were so entertained by.
I mean, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. I think you got to go WrestleMania 25. You can't go wrong with 26 as well. I mean, God, anything involving Bret Hart. I mean, Bret Hart to me he is the Daniel Day-Lewis of pro wrestling. He does little things and just these little subtle things. And I don't know, you just get pulled into a believability with Bret Hart's matches. We all know it's entertainment, but you watch a Bret Hart match and you can question that. And it's just little subtle things. He doesn't overdo anything. It's just the little subtleties and nuances that he does that, man, I could watch Bret Hart matches all day. Another guy, and this is a name from the past, but Nick Bockwinkel. Man, I love some Nick Bockwinkel. I can go
There's
down.
a name.
Yeah. I can go down a Nick Bockwinkel wormhole and like 5 hours later, I'll hear that, where are you? And it's like, I'm sorry. I was watching Bockwinkel in All Japan from 1984 when he was like 52 years old and out wrestling everyone. So that's another one. Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 20. Oh. I mean, or Angle and Shawn from WrestleMania 21. Like, Angle was in a pocket there where, man, everything he was doing was just so damn good. So those are ones that jump to the top of my head.
The Bockwinkel conversation, I was just like, God, where's Jeff Merrick right now to be like, yes, actually, I can tell you exactly everything about him and his blood type and his mother. And oh my God, that guy's just, he's just wired. He's wired different. I was listening to you on 31 Thoughts, and you talked about, obviously you're a huge Leaf fan, but you have a privilege that a lot of Leaf fans would kill for. You have a direct line to Kyle Dubus. I need to know what you guys are talking about, and I need to know how they are going to win the cup because of Edge.
So Kyle's a wrestling fan, and I'm a hockey fan. So, I mean, there you go, right? And it was actually at that same SummerSlam that I came up to visit. I had some family business to take care of. It was my first physical. I speared Elias that night, and also that night ran into Kyle. And we just started talking and realized how many similarities there are. Like, his fandom for wrestling is my fandom for the Leafs. So it's a nice relationship, because if there's wrestling stuff, I got it covered. If there's hockey stuff, he's got it covered. But yeah, to me, and this gets me super excited, because a lot of the changes that happened this year were changes that I think every Leafs fan has there. But if they did this, hey man, if they got this guy, we all do it, right?
Yep.
I've been saying Simmons for a few years. To me, that guy, I love Wayne Simmons. I love the way he plays. I love what he brings to a team. He can score, but he does more than that, obviously. And when I saw him get in that first fight of the season with the Canadians, and he was fired up, and he wasn't looking at the Canadians bench. He was looking at his own bench. And I went, that right there, that is what they've been missing. And so I'm super stoked about this season, and I don't want to get but I can't help it.
I gotta. Okay, so I gotta jump in here, because I gotta know, what's Kyle Dubas actually like? He's this like mythic figure. We get him in interviews like 2-3 times a year. What's he like on a person level?
I mean, he's a handsome cat.
Well, there's no question. No question.
I mean, you just, well, honestly, when I first met him, I was like, how is he where he is seemingly at 18 years old? Like, like, how is this possible? But just a nice dude, man. And honestly, you know, I don't bug him about hockey and he doesn't bug me about wrestling. You know, it's just, just a nice guy. Just a nice guy. You can tell he's just a good dude who has a great head on his shoulders and clearly he knows what he's doing. You know, as much flack, that's got to be besides being, you know, goalie for the Leafs, that has to be the most high pressure job in hockey.
Oh,
yeah. And
I can imagine
to not already be as white as Brian Burke hair wise, you know, like he's pulling it off. And it's kind of a thankless job too, because as great as the team can do, all it takes is one skid. You know, a 5-game skid, and then all of a sudden you're the worst thing ever created in hockey. And it's because the fan base is so passionate. So there's good and bad with that, right? It's honestly the same with WWE. You know, you try not to go down the wormhole of, man, what a bunch of jaded malcontents. You really try not to, but you also understand where they're coming from. It's coming from a place of passion and love.
Which Leaf do you think would have the best career as a professional wrestler? Because it's not just about in-ring ability, right? You got to be on the mic. Got to have the look.
I think old Jumbo would be pretty good. He'd be entertaining.
Oh yeah,
I really do. You know, between the beard, his personality. You know, I saw him singing Britney Spears karaoke in a car with some dude, and I went, okay, he could pull it off. And you know, get him on a high calorie diet and he'd be able to, you know, pack on a little bit of beef and he'd be good.
You guys could be a tag team, maybe.
If I grew it back out, yeah. If I grew in the Vikings beard, yeah, we could be a tag team for sure. I don't know what we'd be called. We could work on that. Maybe I'm sure somebody can come up with something, but I can see that working.
Thor's Edge. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something.
I was going to say Jumbo Edge, but
I mean, like, you know, he carries that big axe around, right? Thor carries a big axe around. He's got a big beard. You'd have a big beard. It has to be Viking themed, I would think. You guys are both enormous.
Or we just go throwback to a guy called the Goon who used to wrestle on hockey skates. Call that.
What?
Yeah. But so this is mid 90s when WWE was like doing crazy characters. There was Repo Man. There was a plumber, TL Hopper. There was really bad stuff. There was a guy called the Goon, and he came out in a Jersey Devils, and we'll get to the Devils because I know it's coming. A Jersey Devils, you know, full on hockey pants, everything, and skates with wrestling soles in the shape of blades. And they tried to get that, bless his heart. Like, this guy's basically wrestling on stilts. And how he didn't blow a knee or an ankle in every match is beyond me. But it was a guy named Wild Bill Irwin who used to wrestle as like kind of this biker gimmick. He was the Goon. So maybe we could do that. It's worth a Google check. Trust me.
Man, I'll check that out.
I don't know how he didn't break an ankle in every single match. So listen, I brought you on to be friendly because we're Leaf fans, but my friend texted me last night and he's like, listen, just in case you need a steel chair from a friend waiting under the ring, he goes, I need you to bring up all the times Edge has said that he's a Devils fan. So what's going on here, man?
So I'm that guy who has two teams. I am that guy. Now, 1A is the Leafs. For as long as seriously, my first memories that I truly can say, like, attached into my brain were watching the Leafs. And it was a family thing. Like, all my uncles, my grandpa, we would sit around, big old box TV sitting on the floor, and we would watch the Leafs. So the first thing I truly, truly remember from childhood is Islanders Leafs, Lanny McDonald. And I'm 5, and it was about more than the Leafs, because it was like all of us. And just the joy that the entire family would have, be my Uncle Wayne, my Uncle Randy, my Uncle Rick, my Uncle Joe, my Uncle Gary, my grandpa, and we would all just sit around. And then if my Uncle Ed, who married in, was a Habs fan, came over from Newfoundland, oh man, I mean, talk about chirping. I mean, it's such good memories, and no choice. You're going to be Leafs fan for life. And then you got the Lanny McDonalds, and you have all of these characters over the years, even during the Ballard years, because that's really when I truly, my fandom took hold, was through some really lean years.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because it's the Leafs. And I just remember just loving everything about them. Like Bunny LaRocque. I know he was with the Canadians, and that's where he had the most significant, years of his career and everything. But how do you not love a guy named Bunny?
Right. Yeah.
who stops Gretzky on a penalty shot? Like, these are all things that they stuck into my brain and they never left. That being said, 1982, Rockies, they go to Jersey, right? I'm 9 years old. Right. So this is at a time in my life when a cool jersey will cause me to like a team.
Right.
So that's when I was like, the San Diego Chargers, they got lightning bolts on their jerseys. That's cool. It's seriously. And I saw that green, and I saw that emblem, and I just went, that's pretty badass. Also, I loved hockey players with nicknames. Chico Resch. I love Chico. Chico looked like my Uncle Randy. So where Chico went, I liked. And hence my appreciation for the Devils was born. But they were horrible. But that almost endeared them to me more. When Gretzky called them a Mickey Mouse team, I went, like, it made me like them more. And also at that point, the Leafs are in the Ballard years. So I just both my teams sucked.
Yeah, just going to say, of all the teams.
Yeah. So it's not like I was just choosing I'm an Oilers guy.
Right.
Because, they're in the midst of Gretzky, Messier, Curry, Anderson, everyone. I like those two teams. And because they had so many bad years and I stuck with them that whole time, they're always going to be my teams. Now, if the Leafs play the Devils, I'm cheering for the Leafs. But if the Devils are playing anybody else, I'm cheering for the Devils. And in a perfect world, they are in the conference finals against each other, and I'm cheering for the Leafs. But hey, if the Devils were to pull it off, I'm not as upset as I would be if those damn Bruins win.
Oh, those damn Bruins.
Those damn Bruins.
Oh, how do you handle defeat when you see that? How have you handled those 3-game sevens, 2013, 2017, 2018?
We know the years, Adam.
Or is it 18, 19? I can't remember these days.
2013 was the one that that hurt. And I was out in Nova Scotia filming a TV show out there. And I remember I'm sitting in this little cottage right in the ocean, super happy. I'm in Canada. I'm watching Hockey Night in Canada. The Leafs are up. And I remember tweeting, which was my first mistake because the game wasn't over.
Oh, no. What'd you say? Do you remember what you said?
I don't remember exactly, but it was we got this.
Oh, so it's your fault.
It's my fault.
You tempted fate.
I'm the Titanic.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That one hurts the most.
Yeah, that does hurt the most, right? But it's funny. It's sort of like there are in society those "where were you" moments, and that one is the one for Leaf fans. It's hard to find a comparable that isn't terrible. But everybody's like, "Well, I remember watching the moon." Like our parents' generation, I remember watching the moon landing. I remember watching the Beatles for the first time or whatever. My mom talks about that. This is do you remember where you were in the worst moment of your life?
Do you remember where you were when Bergeron tied it?
Oh
yes.
God.
Just brutal. Although I have to say, the last couple of years have been really disappointing because I feel like their team is better now than it was then.
Yeah.
So we should win.
Yeah, well, and they should have won probably especially the third of three, right? That probably should have been their series. They, going to Boston up 3-2, right? That definitely needed to happen. And so let me ask you this: so you got to, if there's one Leaf with Leaf jersey that you get, it's Wayne Simmons, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, although I love Jake Muzzin.
Okay.
Jake Muzzin, to me, is an unsung hero on this team, because when Jake Muzzin is on the ice, I feel better. And Hull is having a great season, but it's not talked about that. I think part of the reason he's having such a great season and emerged as this, top 4 defenseman is because he's partnered with Muzzin. Muzzin is a tank, man, and he rarely makes mistakes. And he's also that guy that is going to flip the puck at Tkachuk at the end of the game. And I love that. I love that. We need that. And so if you got him and Simmons and and I love Thornton, man. How can you not love that guy? 41 years old. I appreciate that aspect of it too. And, but Muzzin, man, I love me some Muzzin.
So then to extend that question, if there's an all-time, you have to pick one jersey, one Leaf to put on your back, who's it going to be?
That guy right there.
Wendell. What is that? How did you get that done?
That is a tabletop hockey game with Wendell hand painted on it.
Wow.
Did you have that made, or can you, I guess you can't get that in the store.
So get this. Orangeville represent. I was up in Orangeville visiting my mom, I don't know, probably 5-6 years ago, right? And I finally had the time to do my Leafs room this year. And when I went up to visit my mom, there's this little gallery, I think it's called Dragonfly Studios or something, right on Broadway in Orangeville, right under the apartment where I used to live. So I went in there and they had Wendell, they had Brett Hull, and, one other player, I can't remember. And 5-6 years later, I remembered and went, I'm going to check and see if they still have that. Well, they didn't, but they got me in contact with the artist who did that. And he's got Orr, he's got Brodeur, he's got Gretzky, Messier, but he still had the Wendell. So I went, right, it's mine. So he sent it down, and it's a one-off.
Very, very cool.
Right next to it on the wall is the Leafs championship belt. Can we get the story on that one too?
Yeah. So I was on Instagram, and there was this company called JB Toys, and he had reached out to me about making, this rated R championship that I had drawn up years ago, but never got made. And he said, we also have this. And I went, what is that? And when is that coming to my house? Because this has to happen. And that was it. That it was as annoying as social media can be, it comes in handy sometimes, because I saw that thing and I was like, that is going up on the wall. So now I'm just debating on the proper way to mount it. I might get a piece of steel cut into the Leafs logo with snaps so it can hang off that way. I'm going to get creative with it.
See, guys, they make fun of me for my toy dungeon. We need our things.
I don't see any dolls behind Edge, though, Steve.
Figures. They're figurines. Here, I'll go get one. Here.
They're action figures.
Yeah, that's right. See, here's the thing, Steve. Edge is an action figure in a lot of cases, okay? So,
oh, there's the most important
there it is.
one.
Yes, see? There it is.
Here you go.
Wait. Oh, there.
I like the jacket.
Like a weird flasher.
Yeah. Oh, you.
Little peek.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit.
When's this look coming back?
Whoa, Oakley's nice.
I don't think that one's ever coming back. My beard will never be that blonde again. Now it's more of a platinum blonde. We won't call it white.
No.
Yeah. Platinum blonde. I like that.
I gotta ask, Edge. This is gonna sound really stupid, but I've always wondered this. I've wondered this with NHL players, and I've wondered this with wrestlers as well. I remember when was WrestleMania 2K came out on N64, when a big deal that game was. That was a real groundbreaker for wrestling games, and everybody wanted it. And it was more expensive than the rest of the games on the shelf. I think it was $120, and people were like, whoa, like, this is an insane game. And you played it. It was amazing. Do you play as yourself? Do you always pick yourself? I know that sounds really stupid. I've always wondered.
Well, I'm not much of a video game guy. Like, my video gamedom is like Sega Genesis, NHL 93 and 94.
Ooh,
like good. That's my pocket. You know, like, I'm going to play Super Mario 3 if I play something. I'm going to play NHL 94 if I'm going to play something. And I would always take the Nordique because Christian and I, man, we lived 10 Hepworth Drive in Etobicoke. And there was 5 of us in this little townhouse. There was a semi and just these 5 dudes. And our big, party weekend is we would have NHL 94 tournaments. Now, Jay Christian is a horrible winner.
Oh.
He's probably a worse winner than he is a loser, which is saying something because he's a horrible loser too. But if he won, you wouldn't hear the end of it, like, ever. So I took the Nordique because they had Sakic, and I knew I had a chance to beat him if I was playing with a Nordique. So that was actually the only time him and I had gotten in a fist fight, was over NHL 94 while we were going to college. So we were old enough that we should not be fist fighting over a video game. But we did. And I just remember we had this little tiny billiards table and we got up and we like flipped over it, crushed the table, broke the bill. I mean, that's how serious it got.
Wow.
Well, and then, sorry, I've heard this story before and I love it so much.
So great.
He then left the house. How did you get him back?
Middle of winter, right? He's pissed. He's so mad. I'm so mad. He leaves the house and is walking. Like, doesn't grab a coat or anything. He's just walking in the middle of winter. He's walking up to the park, I guess, around the corner. So I hop in my 87 Volkswagen Jetta diesel and I'm putting along. And I'm like, I roll down the window. I was like, come on, man, get in the car. No, I'm not getting in the car. I mean, it was straight out of an 80s, like, Molly Ringwald movie. And I just said, just get in the car. Okay. Just get in the stupid car. We're now like acting like a couple that's breaking up over a video game. And we're in college and we're technically so maybe we should just, cut it and get it. Fine. Yeah. So that was us.
And then he got in the car and it was over. No more argument.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that was it. Just like, okay, moving on. And then the next weekend there was another tournament and that was that.
Wow. Steve, I got a question. Was 94 the game where Cliff Ronning was ridiculously good because he knew one of the developers? Was it Cliff Ronning?
Is that why?
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this. He knew the guy who made the characters for the game and he just made him unbeatable.
Unbelievable. So fast. So flipping fast. And Ronning was great. Don't get me wrong. But he was like in Fedorov territory, and yeah, that explains it.
Exactly. It was NHL 93.
93.
Okay.
93.
All right.
That's really funny.